Good morning, everybody. Well, here we are. We're not in full force. My son Stu slipped away to Philadelphia, and it'll just be us chickens here. We got Nancy Stewart, my co-host. We got Rick Kearney. We got Jonathan Cantor. So we got a pretty good crew here, and really cold in South Florida. If you're streaming us, I got a sweater on, and you have to understand, I'm a South Floridian. I'm born in Florida. So if it goes down to 45 or 50 degrees, I feel like I'm in Antarctica. I'm just, so I'm always cold when the weather gets like this. I know you northerners, you guys up there where the real snow and real cold is, laugh at me, but I'm cold, so I got my sweater on. I got my blue shirt, I got my sweater. It's a blue sweater. We're in exciting times. I know my regular listeners get tired of me saying that, but if you're just tuning in, trust me, we've been doing this show for 20 years plus, and the car business has always been interesting. I mean, you know, there are strikes, there's all sorts of crazy stuff goes on, but we've never had a period in our history over the past 3 or 4 years like we've had. I mean, it is just nutty, and it's interesting to be an observer, and that's what we are. We observe, and then we pass along what we observe to you, our listening audience. The original purpose of the show, I guess it still is the purpose, is to prepare you for visiting a car dealer. You want to get your car repaired, you want to get your car maintained. Most people, I think, most people go to car dealerships. There's thousands of them all over the United States. And for some reason, car dealerships have been frozen in time for about 100 years, where they try to rip you off. I have to laugh when I say that. I am a car dealer, by the way, for you new folks. So I'm speaking from the inside and outside. I'm a purchaser, I'm a consumer, but I'm also a car dealer. And in the past 3 or 4 years, the world has turned upside down for car dealers. We've got a battle between the regulators and the dealers. The dealers are winning that battle. I think maybe a lot of the regulators surrendered a long time ago. That was usually the big issue on the show. But now we've got electric vehicles, we have autonomous vehicles, and we have the what can I call Elon Musk? Elon Musk, other than the richest man in the world. What can I call Elon Musk? He builds spaceships, he builds electric vehicles, he builds autonomous vehicles, and now he's begun his political career as probably, arguably, the closest advisor to our new president coming up, Donald Trump. So you put all that together, and you have, at the very least, a total amount of uncertainty as to what's going to happen, right? I mean, this show used to pray for regulators to come in and do their job to get the car dealers to mend their ways and not lie, cheat, and steal, and you violate every unfair and deceptive trade practice act of all 50 states with impunity. That used to be our mission here. But now everything's going upside down. We got new manufacturers. If you're not in the electric vehicle business, you're going to be in trouble in a few years. And some of you are already in trouble. By you, I mean the manufacturers. And autonomous is coming up. So it's just a huge amount. I'd love to hear for some folks out there about anything, really, to be honest with you. I don't want to tell you what to call in on. I just told you what I see as a car dealer. We have a car dealership, by the way. We have a Toyota dealership at North Palm Beach. Rick Kearney works for me. He's a certified diagnostic master technician, and I always leave Rick out of it too much, because when the show starts and the rubber meets the road, the questions are about maintaining and repairing your car with impunity without being taken advantage of. And Rick Kearney, he's a certified diagnostic master technician. This guy knows more about cars than most anybody I know. Anybody, I'll just say, I won't even qualify it. I don't know anybody that knows more about repairing cars and Rick. So if you got a little issue with your car, a squeak, rattle, or roll, a smell, something strange going on, you don't want to take a chance. I mean, you're out on the turnpike, you're out on 995, you're going too fast. You don't want to have a problem. So if it's something that's worrying you, there's two ways. It's a safety issue, but it's also a cost issue. And, if you run into a car dealership and say, my car has a funny noise, would you please fix it? I'll be in the waiting room and just give me the bill. I mean, that's not the way you want to do it. I mean, you're really going to get taken advantage of. So you can call Rick and find out, hey, there's nothing wrong. Or if there is something wrong, he'll tell you where to bring it for maintenance or repair. He'll also tell you about what it ought to cost. And should you invest in that car, or should you maybe consider trading it on another car? So Rick Kearney, and here's how you reach us here at Earl on Cars. The main number is 877-960-9960. That's 877-960-9960. Now, the person that's watching that telephone is Nancy Stewart. She's my co-host. She founded the show with me 20-some-odd years ago, and she has built this show to a forum for the ladies. We started this thing out, just a bunch of guys like me and Rick, calling back and forth and chatting back and forth. Now, about half the people calling the show are female, and they are showing us and telling us and sharing with us the female view on buying cars, maintaining cars, and repairing cars. So we were only reaching half our audience 20 years ago. Now we're reaching all of our audience, and I can thank Nancy Stewart for that. So when the calls come in 877-960-9960, she stops. She looks at Rick, looks at me, says, hey, we got a call. We interrupt ourselves, and we prioritize phone calls to 877-960-9960. Rick?
I've got an interesting comment here from Tom Stokel on YouTube. He says, good morning. Please let Earl know that his efforts are working. Starling Chevrolet in Orlando, Florida, is now itemizing its dealer and electronic filing fees as part of their advertised prices.
Wow.
Good job.
Starling Chevrolet.
Starling Chevrolet in Orlando
I'll have to call them.
is playing it fair. They're playing by the rules, the laws set down by our state legislature. All their fees are now included in the advertised price, exactly where they're supposed to be. And they're even itemizing it in. But the fact that now, if you're looking for a Chevrolet and you're in the Orlando area, check out Starling Chevrolet. At the very least, you're going to get the honest price, the advertised price of the car with the fees included.
Wow.
No surprises after the fact.
Well, who was the caller?
That was Tom Steckel.
Tom, you made my day. I mean, I got tears in my eyes.
Little successes, one little success at a time.
Yeah.
But that's something else. That's a win.
Well, I want to turn the mic over to Nancy Stewart now, and one of the things that she'll be covering with you is a very special, sounds too good to be true offer for first-time women callers to the show. So we're not satisfied with just 50-50. We want to get as many of you ladies calling the show as possible. And if you listen just for the next few minutes, you're going to find out something that's really going to tempt you. Nancy, the mic is all yours.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome. Yes, we are here, and we are live. Ladies, $50 for the first two new lady callers. Give us a call. First two new lady callers, 877-960-9960. That's 870-960-9960. So, boy, do we have a great show ahead. But on what you said, Earl, about Musk and everything in between, wow, I'll tell you, since November the 6th, when, it finally hit everyone that Trump won, I have read so much, and I'm baffled. First, let me start with Musk. How much is Musk worth?
He's the richest man in the world. His wealth is increasing so fast. Of course, there's about 4 or 5 guys that are competing, but right now he's worth something on the order of several $100 billion.
He's worth $361.7 billion, as in B
with
baby.
Yeah.
Baby.
Yeah.
That's a lot of cabbage.
That's a lot of cabbage.
Yeah, and boy, what a donator.
Yeah.
He was, and I was really surprised that Timothy Mellon, who they mentioned in the article, was the, Musk beat Timothy with the donations and knocked him out of first place. He was, I'm going to say, $197 million donated.
I'm really anxious
To the
to see what the
presidency.
folks. I'm really anxious to see what. I don't want to turn this into a political show, but Nancy's what she just brought up now has got to stimulate some questions, and I would love to hear those questions. And you know how to reach Nancy.
Yes.
And me.
Okay.
And Rick.
877-960-9960. And we got a whole lot to get to. We'll go right to the phones, and we'll talk to Roger. Good morning, Roger.
Oh, Roger. I hear a dial
Give us a
tone.
call back, Roger, if you get a chance. 877-960-9960. Now back to the recovery car dealer.
Well, we got some more ways you can reach us, and actually, our number one source, probably I have to say, is YouTube. It's youtube.com/Earl on Cars, and I forgot to mention earlier that Rick covers the YouTube channel, and some of our most astute, educated, interesting, what other adjectives can I use, are YouTubers. youtube.com/Earl on Cars. You can stream us, and here we are, and in South Florida, we're in North Palm Beach, but we stream all over the world, literally all over the world, all over the United States, and then some. I mean, we Canada, and we're in Minnesota and Tennessee and New York, and so we are not. Yeah, Iowa. Wow. So we have another. We probably have. Oops, I see Nancy raised her hand.
We're going to go back to the phones. I'm going to interrupt you for a minute, and we're going to talk to Roger. He gave us a call back. Good morning, Roger. Roger's calling us from Green Acres. Welcome, Roger.
Good morning.
Good morning.
What's up?
Yeah, I spoke to you a couple of weeks ago. I spoke with, the car expert guy.
Oh yeah, Rick Kearney, he's
Rick.
right here.
Hi.
Yeah, and basically I was having trouble with the engine stuttering, and he said get some dry gas and put that in, try it out. And I just wanted to call back and said that has seemed to solve my engine problem. But I have a new problem that showed up. I just can't believe I'm having one problem after another, but I'm kind of stymied. So here's my new issue. I start up the car first thing in the morning, 8 o'clock, 7 o'clock, whatever. And I can drive it 5-10 miles with no trouble, or even drive it 20 or 30 miles. If I stop the car and turn it off and park it and let it sit for an hour or so, like I got some business to do or whatever, I go back out, it starts up fine, and we drive some further. So, but what the problem is if after the second or third time and the day starts warming up, and I let's say that I want to drop off some mail at a mailbox or something, so I go to the post office, turn off the car, walk in, take care of my business, come back out. Now I can't get the car to start up. And basically, here's what the symptom is. It seems like it's firing and it wants to start, but the brake, you have to push on the brake to get it to start, and suddenly the brakes are super hard. I never seen anything like it. Like everything's frozen up. And the only way I was able to get the car restarted was to sit and wait for it to cool down, and then it started right up like nothing was wrong, and I'm able to drive again.
Wow.
So I'm wondering if that has anything to do with the positive traction transmission in the front end and all that stuff, and it has to do with the calipers possibly. That's my question.
Refresh my memory on the year, make, and model, please.
Yeah, it's a 2017 Nissan Quest.
Okay.
My favorite car, and I'm about ready to change to a new favorite.
And what part of the country are you in?
Green Acres,
Green
Florida.
Acres.
Okay, so you're down here in South Florida. All right.
Yes, yes.
Well, that's
I mean, like
tough
this
one.
morning, I went and met with my friend to have coffee at Wawa. It started up just fine. Drove over there, no issues, no stuttering, no nothing. Parked the car. We sat there and had coffee for 30, 40 minutes. Came back home, no issues. It's going to show up around 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon, which is crazy. I don't even understand that.
Yeah, the hard pedal on the brake, that one, that almost seems like something's going on with the vacuum booster, because the way that works is it uses engine vacuum to help assist you when you step on the pedal. That engine vacuum is that great big black ball looking thing on the firewall where the brake master cylinder is. And when you step on the brake, that's supposed to help pull the brake pedal harder. It's what gives you the assist in your brakes. And the fact that you got a hard pedal, that tells me that vacuum, that's not holding vacuum. I would be looking at the check valve. Have the mechanic look at the check valve for those brakes, because if it's not assisting getting that pedal down, and you're not getting that the brake pedal pushed far enough to activate the lights, that may cause the engine, especially on the push start motors, not to start. It may still crank on some models, but the computer would not be firing the fuel to start the engine. Potentially
it
also, go ahead.
Crank. It does crank.
Yeah.
And when it cools down, the pedal softens up. And the minute that pedal softens, I know I can start it.
Yeah, that's why I wonder if something's going on with that check system, where instead of getting vacuum, it's building pressure or something, and not letting you get that push the pedal down enough. That's the first place I would have them start looking. And my next thing I'd be looking at is the temperature sensors for the engine itself, because when the car is warmed up a certain amount, the computer will read what its temperature is, and it's going to adjust how much fuel it puts into the engine based on that temperature. So if that sensor is giving the computer wrong information, it may not put enough fuel to start the engine, or it may put way too much and cause it to actually flood out a little bit to where it won't start, and you got to wait until some of that evaporates away before it can crank up.
Yeah, those are all good ideas. I like your thoughts. It sounds like to me this is not a job that a home mechanic can take care of.
No, unfortunately, cars have gotten so complicated with the way the computer systems are operating now. The fact that the computer is taking over the controls of the engine, it really takes a lot of that out of the hands of the average do-it-yourselfer. Just because of the diagnostic equipment required to be able to go in there and look at those sensors and see what they're doing.
Yeah, this is one of those cases.
Those tools get quite expensive.
This is one of those cases where it newer, you would want to go to the dealer and have probably a technician from Nissan work with the technician at the dealership and use the diagnostic equipment that unfortunately only Nissan dealerships have. There's an effort now to make any independent repair facility eligible to buy the necessary diagnostic equipment, but something this subtle and difficult to diagnose probably can only be determined exactly by a Nissan dealership, and you don't want to spend the money because you got an older car. So that's a tough one.
Yeah,
that's exactly. Yeah, apparently, you're thinking the same thing I'm thinking.
Yeah. And unfortunately for the independent mechanics, it's kind of like trying to be a computer repairman. You have to have diagnostic tools for Windows, for Apple, for Linux, for all the others. With an auto mechanic, he's got to have the proper programming for Toyota, for Nissan, for Honda, for Ford, Chevy, Chrysler, all those different makes. Every one of them.
And even if they can
just
afford it,
different
they
enough.
won't sell it to them because they will not. They will.
Yeah.
Their laws. Their different states now are moving to make a law that the manufacturer of a vehicle must sell, not give.
Yep.
But right now, if, a Nissan dealer cannot buy it. I mean, Nissan dealer could buy it, but independent cannot buy the same machine.
Yeah. And you'd be amazed actually with Toyota engineers, with like our Toyota factory, the representatives that we have here that are the field tech specialists, they will contact the engineers at Toyota and say, hey, I've got a sensor that's doing this. Please send me the specifications on how it works. And the actual engineers from Toyota will say, no, you don't need that. They are so tight-lipped with their information, and all the manufacturers are this way.
We've got four people holding on the
crazy.
phone. We've got 4 people holding on the phone now.
Yeah.
We're sorry that we can't give you a better answer, Roger, but
No.
we'd love to
Listen,
hear
you
back
gave me
from you
good
what happens.
information.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to check around and see who I can get to take a look at it.
Well, that's the direction I would start, though.
That's
Okay, thanks a lot. I appreciate it.
Yep.
Thank you very
Thanks
much.
for the call. Thanks for listening. 877-960-9960. And you can also text us at 772-497-6530. Don't forget your anonymous feedback. You can get in touch with us and remain anonymous. YourAnonymousFeedback.com. And we have a dog of the week. And Tomato is back. She's a young lady that was with us before.
Tomato?
And she will, entertain us with a video later on in the show. Agent Lightning, I believe, went to Fort Lauderdale to do the mystery shopping report, so stay tuned for that also. And don't forget, you can take advantage of Zoom, and you can take and give us a call at 926-589-0586, and you can talk to Jonathan, our producer. He'll get your information, and you can win yourself $100 this morning
that's
if
a
you're
Zoom,
a first-time Zoom caller.
Meeting ID number that Nancy just gave you. Write this down, even if you don't Zoom us now, but if you've got a PC or a smartphone and you want to see us, talk to us, and we can see you. It's kind of cool. And we just had this Zoom capability for the past couple of months. So what's that meeting ID number again, honey?
That's 926-589-0586. Jot that down. Like I said, you can win yourself $100 this morning if you give us a call this morning. It'd be a whole lot of fun. We can see you, and you can see us. That number again is 926-589-0586. We're going to go back to the phones and talk with Kevin. Kevin is calling from Buffalo, New York. Good morning, Kevin.
Hey, good morning, Earl Stewart team and Earl Stewart listeners. I really enjoy your show, and I want to share some facts that you've taught me through the several years of listening to your show. I recently bought a Lexus a few years ago, and I remember Earl saying, if you take your Lexus to a Toyota dealer, the oil changes are cheaper and things like that. Mm-hmm. That's true. Between the Lexus dealer and the Toyota dealer, the oil change is $30 cheaper.
Wow.
So I made my appointment with the Toyota dealer, and I had my car done, serviced, and I've been there before. And then I drive away, and several miles after driving, it says low oil comes on.
Oh, boy.
Wait, it just happened once. It's something resetting. It happened in a few minutes later. So I stopped the car, and I called the dealership. And the dealership said, check the dipstick. There was no oil on the dipstick. They said, we'll send a tow truck out for you. Thank you. It's inconvenience, things like that. But the thing I remember Rick saying is persistence, patience, politeness. So, again, I paid to have this service done. And Rick talked earlier with Roger about the technology of the new cars. So I figured I'm going to Toyota, which makes Lexus. They should have the best trained people to work on my car. Well, obviously, the bottom line is the technician did not put enough oil into the car. Mm-hmm. And that's what I had to have it. And they must have a problem with this. They're not knowing there's issues, so they said, we'll tow the car immediately. Sure. But, most people, I didn't yell, I didn't scream, because, again, Rick says patience, politeness goes a long way. So, again, I'm inconvenienced. The more inconvenience is I had our rescue dog in a car because we went for a nice little ride, go to the park, walk around. So I got my dog.
Dogs have a calming influence, don't they?
Well, not really, because it's got a lot of nose prints on the window, and every time I sit in the car, I get dog hair. So, but what I wanted to say is what you taught me. I'll get a cheaper oil change, politeness, be nice to the people. And even when I got the car for the second time, they said, we'll refund you your money for your service. They were, that part was nice. And then I got back in my car, and they still have not reset the oil change light. And the worst thing I said to the clerk or the technician, I guess customer service is not really important right now.
Yeah.
What concerns me is that if they can't change the oil and have somebody monitor this, how do I trust them with my brakes and things like that? That's more important.
Well, let me Rick is the expert on this, but I think he'll agree with this. One of the other things that I say on this show often is that the starting point for a technician is we call it the lube rack. So for oil changes, the young person, typically a young guy, says, I would like an automotive career. I'd like to be, hopefully he has aspirations to move up the ladder. Where this started at Lexus dealerships and Toyota dealerships is on the lubrication rack. So they have no experience. They have very little training. That's where they're getting their training. So I warn people listening to the show, you think of an oil change as just about the simplest thing you could do, and it's pretty simple if you know how, and if you understand how you have to tighten torque the nuts and measure the oil, and there's only a few things you have to remember, but if you don't do those few things right, then you end up with a burned up engine like you almost did. So